Welcome to this new video. In this one, we will talk about the constraints and how to use geometry nodes as a sketch mode. Since I work with beta, I downloaded it again to have the last fixes. Like that, I can show you what is my goal. Make the freedom to create tagline to become the freedom to imagine and produce. For now, it's only imagine. You can share, not really create. Let's start the constraints with a little comparison. In CAD software like Solid, TopSolid or CATIA, you have two constraint environments. One in the object level and one in the sketch level. In Blender, it's not the case. You just have one in the object mode. We can see them in the tab constraint of the properties editor. To explain you how that works, I add 3 cubes. I let one at the center of the world and move one each other on a different axis. To only move one axis, you just have to press it on the keyboard. You can also type a value if you want. The order doesn't matter and you can change the axis on the fly. Then I add a vertex group to the cube I moved. On the one at the center, I will add a copy location, but let's look about the constraints available. In this video, we focus on the transform category. The other categories can be useful, but at the end, they are almost all a particular transform combination. We have to talk about degrees of freedom before to go further. There are 6, one translation and one rotation on each axis. The scale, we don't use it in mechanical world. The logic is dimension, not scale. I try to never use it. Moreover, I almost never create a hole on face directly. The Boolean do it. That's why we see the Boolean node. When we design in CAD software, all is about remove degrees of freedom. In Blender, you can do the same. Look, there is also limits in the transformation category. It's like you are in assembly in CAD software. So we can do the same in Blender. The harder part is for the sketch constraints. To continue the explanation, I add a copy location constraint. I select the target object. We can specify a vertex group on the target. This is really like in CAD design, but the differences between assembly and sketch is here. You cannot specify a vertex group of the moving object. The constraint is always from the position on the orange dot of the object, the one we see in the previous video. You also have a tick box called offset. With this one, the settings of transformation in scene is preserved. If you want to do a traveling in the view, it's the shortcut Shift plus middle mouse button. You can also select on which axis the constraint is applied and invert it. Be careful, this is not valid for the scene transformation. To finish, you can choose from multiple spaces for the start and the end of the transformation. You can set a custom one, but you cannot select the owner in the object input. Like the offset of the scene transformation, you can select another object to offset related to another reference. It's the same for the other transformations and the location. Now you know you need to guess where is the sketch mode. It's in geometry node. Let's do something fun and create a part with a sketch and an extrusion like in SolidWorks. We focus on linear extrusion. We will see the revolutionary one later at the same time of the curve. This time I will draw the lines in the viewport. I hide all the objects we don't need no more, add a plane and go in edit mode. The first is we can split all the elements. With the right mouse button click, a big menu appears. This menu depends on the element selection you have selected. Since we will extrude a plane, I keep only vertex and edge. Maybe you have C subdivide in the menu. Like that, we create new elements well connected to the mesh. You can select the vertex and move it, but be careful. There is no differences between 2D and 3D sketch in this way of design. You are always in a 3D one. To avoid moving in the 3-axis, you can go in the axis viewport you want not move. Now we want to set the position of the elements relatively to each other. So I will add a geometry node group. In the spreadsheet editor, there is a number in front of line in the field column part. You can see which vertex in the viewport is which in the spreadsheet. It's called index. For that, I activate an overlay setting called attribute text. Then, I add a viewer node to see the number on vertices. I need another panel to work in a productive environment. The data tab in the properties editor. I create a new workspace called sketch. I add a new properties editor and show the data tab. I am interested by the vertex group part. I add one inner mesh on a vertex. I change the name quickly in the new panel without have to change the one on right and lose the geometry node settings. Now we have to constrain the elements. It's what is changing the color of the line from blue to black in SolidWorks. For now, we see two ways to move elements in geometry node. The set position and transform geometry node. One a field input and the other a simple value input. It means in one, all the geometry is moved and in the other, only a selection may move. By default, all is selected. To get a selection in Blender geometry node, you have to compare a field attribute. The vertex group is something else, but it's automatically transformed in the Boolean attribute field when you import it with the name attribute node. Now we know how to move the elements and log their position. We can argue that it's not logged because we can do the same after. But in CAD software it's the same thing. It's just that prevents you to do it. You maybe experience that when someone moves the file on the server at work. Links are break and it's a nightmare of warning because all the constraints are lost. Let's go for the big time of this video. Our real first gain of productivity when using Blender. When you design to produce things, you have to do another step than design. Put the technical dimension on a sheet to help the men that produce and control the quality. Let's do that step at the same time we do constraints. I prefer to work with vertex group and avoid index. This is because naming is important and during some operation the index is reordered. I hide the color overlay of the viewer node. What we want to do is set the position of the vertex. The first thing you will do in GeoNode is add the operation you want to perform. Often you will want to reuse, maybe in different way, your nodes. That is why I create a group directly. I set the name now to be clear about what we're doing with that node. I add a description too. I do that now because that helps me to think about what I want to do. I come up with constraint and quotation for the name. The description is, this node is used to merge two actions in one, the design and the technical drawing. This node works with all geometry type. Since it performs an operation on a geometry, I set it to geometry category. I want to use it directly on the modifier stack, so I tick the modifier box. I do that because it will be more easy. Like that, we have a stack of constraints. By looking at the modifier stack, it will be easy to see the quotation. After, I think about the panel. As you can see, we cannot put a panel inside the panel for now. So I add the panel name, I think, before the dash. As you maybe notice, we don't see the vertex group of the vertex. So it's not easy to know which one is used in the viewport. I will add that functionality in the quotation part of the node. It's the occasion to work with a new type, the string. There is a node to convert string to curve. Now I will stop to say use the shortcut F3. If you follow the playlist, I think I already put it enough in your head. Like a really good friend say, all for a reason. And that's why you don't see my face. Too much impact on productivity. But I still want the view, so subscribe and like. I charge a little to get the position of the element we want to constrain. It's because it's hard to not sync with the step after. As I put in the description, I want it to work for all geometry type. We'll see that in the next video. Stay tuned!